My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back. Today is another day when I have like an amazing human being on the show, and I'm very excited about Jenifer because the first time I talked to Jenifer, I just picked up what business she's in, and she's like someone who's always trying to serve people, right from her job to the other things she does. She's always trying to serve people. She's always trying to save souls. So I kid you not, I believe that she's in the business of saving lives. She's in the business of rescuing people. You know, like these people who are always looking to rescue animals. I feel like she's always rescuing people's hearts, people's souls, in whatever business she works in. The first thing is, in the job she works in, or the job she chose, their work is all around reducing human trafficking and helping those affected to recover from that and get a life. That is the job she chose out of the thousands and thousands of jobs she could have done. And then she has a R&B business in Texas. And she could have had any type of R&B, but her units focus on security and making sure that women who travel alone don't fall victim of human trafficking. That is not enough. She is online as a coach. And do you know what she does? Help women, save them from abusive men, and free their hearts and help them heal so they can be ready for the kingdom man that God put in their heart. When we last spoke, I asked Jenifer, so what's the common theme with the work you do? And then she was like, there's no common theme. Everything is on its own. And I was like, really? I think you're a people savior. And she was like, really? I'm a people savior? And I'm like, yes, you are. And hopefully today, we will dig deep and you can see her heart of what she really does. Because today we want to kind of shine a torch on the work she does online as a coach. And hopefully you can really see her heart. You can see her rescue mission, and you can see how she really is serious about rescuing people, even though she thinks, you know, she's just doing service and serving God, and I don't know. Jenifer, first of all, welcome to the world's best kept secret. I'm super excited that you made it today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. It's such a blessing and a privilege to be having this conversation, and that I believe is so needed among society and just people that are going to listen to this episode.
For sure, for sure. Before we dive in, I wanted to tell you more about her. She's a licensed social worker, a kingdom life coach, a mentor, and speaker. I already told you about her R&B mission to save humanity, and a highly rated speaker with over 8 years of experience as a trauma-informed counselor, specializing in supporting youth and women who've been affected by domestic violence and human trafficking. As a Kingdom Life coach, Jenifer is passionate about helping single women unlock their God-given potential, break from toxic relationship cycles, and prepare them for their God-given kingdom spouse. Jenifer works with individuals, groups, and organizations to really amplify authenticity and empower them to live a kingdom lifestyle. Her R&B business is 5-star rated, and she raises awareness about human trafficking in the hospitality industry, making her really very safe to stay with and making the whole industry a better place. I don't know about you, when I travel by myself, my number one worry is security. And if you're ever in Texas, then now you know who to stay with, because now you no longer have to worry about being safe and all of those things, because That is the number one reason she does that business. But today we're going to dive into her abilities as a coach, helping women break through from toxic relationships so they can be ready for when the man that God sent their way shows up. Jenifer, what did I miss that we need to know before diving in? What did I leave out that you want to talk about right now?
Oh, you did phenomenal. Just everything captivating, everything together. So you really touch on every point perfectly.
Okay, amazing. Let's start with your story though. Tell us your story. I feel
Yes,
like I love
yes.
this story. Yeah.
Yes, there's definitely a story behind my coaching business. So earlier in my I'm 35 right now, and in my early ages, I was in a very toxic relationship with a narcissistic man. It first started as best friends. We were in high school together. It started as best friends, and next thing you know, got involved into like friends with benefits relationship. I was in this situationship for about 7 years. I thought that he was going to be the man of my dreams, the man I was going to get married and have children and have a beautiful family. But it was a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of manipulation. It was a lot of false promises that was involved. And at the same time, he was messing around with other girls. And at the same time, I was still holding on to this hope, this false hope that was given and false expectations. And I was struggling with depression, suicide, anxiety, a lot of comparison, a lot of confusion about my identity because I was born and raised in a family, but then my dad left my mom and my household, and my mom stayed as a single mom, raising me and my siblings. And I unconsciously was trying to find my father's love in him, in this man. And I was just trying to fill this void that I with this relationship because I just was feeling lonely. I was feeling not enough. So whatever I could to just gain some type of love and affection by this man, I would do it. I would sacrifice anything. I would give money. I will give myself, my body, just to feel approved and loved in that point. And it took me 7 years to break off from this relationship. And there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of guilt. I didn't tell anybody about this because I was just fear of judgment, fear of what rejection and what people, my friends would say. Um, like in front of people, we were just best friends, but behind closed doors, we were more than that. And even my family didn't know about this. So I was suffering in silence all these years. And then because I was just so afraid of what people would have thought about me and just feeling not enough. So and I didn't have anyone to talk to during this time. I still didn't encounter God during this time. I was still going to church, but still living my own life in my own ways. And until that point that I had this breakthrough moment that I encountered Jesus in my life. And next thing you know, it was like my whole transformation in my life. 8 years ago, that's when I broke free from the idol of putting men in relationships, trying to find my identity in that and putting my identity in Christ and knowing that and that's how my coaching business was birthed is in regards to I noticed this pattern of women that are even in the church and even outside of the church that they fall in these toxic relationships, unhealthy cycles of being in relationship with narcissistic, and it's hard for them to get out of these relationships because they form a trauma bond with this person that is hard then to get out when they know this person is not for them. So, and then they compromise, and I was even compromising with my values, my faith. I was compromising on my needs just to please this man. And unconsciously, we could do that. And I noticed a lot of women that will compromise their values, their needs, just to please a man so that way they can feel wanted and needed and seen, heard, and loved. but that's just the temporary fix of the void that they have in their hearts. So that's where I come in. As a coach, I help women to break this cycle of falling into these unhealthy relationships that tend to break them down to the point that they start comparing themselves, the low self-esteem, and just the emotional strongholds that they form because of this trauma. So I'm there to prepare them to take them out of the, let's say, the pit and the darkness, to bring them to the light, to the freedom, that being that person that I wish I would have had when I was experiencing these type of relationships, and helping them prepare for their kingdom spouse.
Whoa. I've heard people talk about their trauma and their narcissistic parts of life. You're so clear of where it came from, what caused. You're the clearest I've heard. 7 years in a situation, Jesus, I wasn't willing to do more than one. 7 years with a guy who, to the outside world, you're his friend. Behind the doors, there are benefits. Jesus. What does that say about everything? You can want something so bad that you're willing to go through 7 years of someone saying, I am not ready for the world to know that I like you. Wow. Compromising your values, your needs, to feel loved, wanted, to feel appreciated, to feel accepted. Looking for love in the wrong people. Looking for love, looking for fatherhood that you didn't have in the wrong person. Jeez, this is so good. It really shows it. For me, it opens up a very big, clear vision of view and understanding of why people will not stand up for themselves for the longest time. I am very curious though. What was your defining moment? What was that point where you were like, you know what, the 7 years, I'm done. I'm ready to start all over again. I am ready to not seek validation from you or any man ever. What was the defining moment for you?
Oh, for me, the defining moment was when it was like, for me, the breaking point was when I saw that he still was not like, he was still not serious about me. He didn't want, like, he would say, I'm not ready for a relationship, but then next thing you know, he will still pursue other women to be in relationship with. And then at the same time, became obsessed. I became obsessed of this relationship because there's a difference between real love and what is lust. And there's a confusion between those two that a lot of people think, because the lust is, they confuse love and lust, and they're two different things. And I thought it was real love, and it was actually I was struggling with lust and perversion. So, and the thing is, for me, that was a breaking point of enough is enough. And I broke off from that relationship, but then unconsciously, I was attracting the same type of men that was him. So it actually ended up 3 more years attracting the same type of men that with tendency of a narcissistic person. They were not serious for a relationship. They were not ready. They lacked commitment. They were raised by single mothers as well. So they didn't have a good father figure. So they didn't know how to treat a woman. And I was also broken. So I was attracting broken men at that point. So it just when I thought the 7 years was done, it was another 3 years with different men that I was attracting. And without even knowing, I was unconsciously being in these type of relationships and being attracted to these same type of men. But then after you say 3 years, then that's when I really encountered God. And that was like my whole transformation of my turnaround of putting my identity in Christ, and instead of a relationship or a man, because I would put men as a pedestal. They were my idols. They were like, I was worshiping them. I was like, I need a man. Like, I want to get married. I want to have children. That was like my dream. And once I encountered God, that was just like a breaking point for me that I am whole and complete in Jesus. Then in a relationship, that does not complete me. And building my confidence and going through my healing journey, going through my purification process, unlearning a lot of things because of my trauma, what I believe of myself, that I created this inner vows that I believed about these lies about myself, and tend to struggle with comparison because, with the man that I was going with, he would compare me with other women, and unconsciously it's like trying to change myself to please this person so they can accept me. And it's like, no, I don't have to change myself. God created in me who I am with the body features that I have, the hair color and everything. So I can really walk in that identity regardless of who approves of that or not. And for me, that was like the whole transformation. In the past 8 years, I've been going through my healing journey and purification process. And now that I'm walking in full, complete freedom, now it's like walking other women through that same path and be that bridge to take them to their full identity and their healing journey.
I love what you're saying, because I feel like there's people in this world who never really understand or appreciate when a man comes from God. I just feel it's something every woman needs to experience. When someone comes from God, when God says, this is it, this is the person, there's nothing you can
Yes,
possibly do to ruin that.
right.
There's nothing. I remember when I was 30, 35, something like that. All my friends were seeing somebody, dating somebody, I don't know, fiancing somebody, getting married, and all my sisters were getting married, and everybody, like the marriage buzz was all over the place. And I remember saying, I don't want to get married just because I'm 35. I don't want to get married. All the men looked like men who, like, they were just men, like I was like, it has to be something better than this. They were just men walking around, talking to
Hmm.
you. And then I remember I went to coffee something with this man, and he was talking to another girl, and the girl kept calling, and I was like, hmm. And he kept excusing himself to answer the call and explain himself. He did that twice. The third time I walked away, and I didn't look back. I didn't answer his call. I just blocked him.
Hmm.
We sat there, we began to, I think, have tea or something. And 3 times he would walk away to talk to this girl. And he would come back and say, this girl on my case, I don't even know. She won't stop calling me. And I'm like, who is she? I don't know, some girl. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, okay. But he kept moving, like walking off where we were sat to take the call. 3 times. I asked myself, what are you doing with this guy? What are you even doing taking tea with this guy? But my path, I walked off. He never saw me again. And I remember in that moment, I told myself, you know what? You're not going to date any man that God hasn't sent. You're not
Hmm.
interested. And I remember I
Hmm.
bought a book from Steve Harvey called Think Like a Man. And
Yeah, I remember that.
Steve said, men know when you're the one and when you're not. And they know that right away from day one before you
Yes.
even say, yes,
Yeah.
I'll go out with you. And so he
Yeah.
said, if you're in a situation, if the man doesn't know, is not ready, is looking for money, is anything but committed to getting married, you're not the one. And he said,
Hmm.
men know from day one if you're the girl,
Yes.
you're not. And so if you are having an explanation of any sort whatsoever, you're not. If there's a reason you want to meet their parents, you're not. Like anything other than you're the girl, I want to marry you, stay with you forever, you are not the girl. And I was like, wow, amazing. From that day, I just expected them to know. Like if I met a man and he was, I'm like, okay, goodbye. And I
Yeah.
think that really allowed me not to suffer so much in my dating life, because I just didn't
Mm,
date anybody who didn't know where they were taking me. I'll be like, so
right.
what's your plan? And I'll be like, well, I don't know. I'm seeing, goodbye. Like, I wasn't there for let me see. And I remember
Mm,
every now and then I would say, God, you're gonna send the man, or I am okay not getting married. Like, if you never send the man, this is not happening. You're gonna send a
mhm.
man who knows what he wants and knows that they want to get married, they want to have a family, and they want me as their wife, and that is what they want. And I said, God, this is my list. Whatever you want, I am not. I am not being involved with any other guy. And I
Yeah.
remember like 5 years down the road, I don't know, my husband showed up, and the first day he just knew. He knew he wanted to get married. He'd already told his parents about me. And I'm like, how can you tell your parents about me when we've not even talked? It's like, well, I just know. Like, I just know that you're my wife. Now, the process that goes after that, I don't know. But I know that you're my wife, and my parents already know. And I'm even already packing my things. I'm like, where are you going? I'm coming to Africa. And I'm like, everything was just there. Everything was
Wow.
just there. I'm here,
Wow.
wherever you're ready. I want to get married. I'm actually leaving my country. I'm coming there because I want you to access me if you need anything. And for a year, he was
Wow.
there. He was there. He left the UK, he came to Uganda. He was there. And 1 year later, it was like, have you seen enough? Are you ready to get married? And I want to share that story because I feel like someone needs to hear it. There is
Yes.
someone that God has
Yes.
prepared, but you will have to clear the ground and refuse to be involved until you see them. And I feel like your message says that to me, and I just felt told to share that story, hoping you'll be helpful for someone.
Yes. So good. Thank you for sharing that part of your story because let me tell you, it's so clear when it's from God. Like when it's the man of God, he will respect you, he will honor you, he will honor your body, he will pursue you as a daughter of the Most High King, and he will not lead you far away from God. If anything, he will lead you closer to him.
Mm,
And at the same time, it's also a purpose. There's a purpose of a marriage. It's not just going out together and having these honeymoons and vacations. There's an assignment on these marriages that, is to glorify him and to break a lot of generational curses that needs to be broken.
mm.
And at the same time, I've been single for 8 years. I've been
Wow.
single for 8 years. No dating. When I tell you, no dating, no talking to no man, just like really like me and Jesus, we hand in hand, we in oneness. And and it's like thriving in the singleness because singleness
Mm.
is a gift.
It
And
is.
there's society and culture that kind of takes that away and puts a lot
Mm.
of pressure on when you're going to get married, when you're going to have a husband, when you're going to have kids. And then look at
Mm.
your age, like you're 35, you're 37, like what's up? Like what are you doing in order to get yourself out there? But it's at the same time, like for example, for me, it's like, boy, regardless of what I do, if like God does not want this man to talk to me, he's not gonna allow him to open his mouth. Period.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's like God is a jealous God. He protects us. He protects our heart. He doesn't want us to go through heartbreak or disappointment. So for me, in this past 8 years, the Lord teach me how to thrive in my singleness. In my singleness, the Lord allowed me to be a homeowner, to
Mm.
have my own business. And yes,
Mm.
as a single woman, you can have your own business, you can be a homeowner, you could buy your own car. And it's like a lot of breaking of the cultural mindset of like you have to wait till you get married in order to have a house or in order to start your business. No, you could start building generational wealth right now as a single woman.
Mm.
And that's also helping build the foundation for your future marriage, for your future family. And it's breaking a lot of the codependency in the society that has that. And especially with my family, there's a lot of generational of codependency with men in order to be financially stable.
Mm.
um and that's where the domestic violence and the abusive relationships, the fear of leaving because of not being financially stable because the man is the main breadwinner. So what happened if I leave this relationship? How I'm going to feed my children? How I'm going to be able to have, you know, like money to survive. And that's why the compromise and the just being in these type of relationships last longer than expected, because one of the number common themes and reasons is because of the finances. So it's like in the singleness, that's the moment that you're going to have really the time to build, to go through your healing journey, to build a foundation and really step out in faith and take leaps of faith that you know, for your calling and your assignment, there's certain assignments in your singleness that only can be fulfilled right now, before your kingdom husband comes into your life.
I like it. The first person I had explaining singleness in a very enlightening way was Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty said, "You're not single; it's solitude. And if you can't enjoy solitude, you're not going to enjoy when another person comes around. If you're
Right.
uncomfortable being by yourself, it's just a sign that you're not ready for someone else to be in your life." I love to go through your process of, okay, it's been a couple of years and you're either entangled in relationships that you know don't serve you, or you just seem to be stuck in a situation. I like how you said it. I was in a situation. For anyone today who is in a situation, what is the process of coming from there to the place where they can feel like they are enough without clinging on another human being? I think it's really hard to do that. I can imagine it. It's really hard.
Yeah, definitely. Especially I've been there. I've been there. That's why I was clinging, you know, to these type of men, because I just thought that was the most, let's say, the what I was worthy of receiving, but it was not. And it was because of the lack of community. And also, so what really helped me to really, in regards to thrive and really get out of these relationships, it has to do a lot with the community and friendships that I had during that time. Um, and it's also that just seeking, like, for me, my foundation was like when I took that moment of, okay, I'm gonna follow God with all my heart, and I just felt that He was calling me, because I was also borderline alcoholic. Alcohol was my getaway of, especially when I was going through these heartbreaks. And when these men were ghost on me, because I would have men ghost on me, they would not respond to my messages or calls, and then find out that they had a girlfriend through social media. It was like a lot of just this rejection I was experiencing. So alcohol was also my getaway of like trying to numb my pain. So then in that moment, I remember I had that breakthrough moment that I got so drunk and so wasted that I will black out. I will not remember the night before what will happen, because I was just trying to numb my heartbreak from, you know, these men rejecting me. So it took a moment that I literally woke up. It was like, I'm never gonna get drunk again. I'm never gonna be drinking again. And then I would still go to church with my mom. And then I had that breakthrough moment that I was like, enough is enough. And I remember during service, it was like a server there in the church. He called me and he was like, the Lord is calling you to serve him. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, like, you don't even know me. You don't know what I did last night. Like, me. And I felt so like unqualified. Like, really? Like, but at that moment, it was like a breaking moment. Like, God was calling me, and even when I hit the most rock bottom, and it was like a moment of like, okay, let me pray about this. God, is this is really you? I know you're going to confirm and say, like, this is you. So for me, that was like confirmation, like, yes, like to follow him. And then literally when I said yes to him and surrender my life to him, like everything started changing. Like people that were in my life literally was being removed. Friends that I thought were real friends, that those were like the eternal crew that I had. So that would go out to clubs and lounges and bars to smoke and everything, like literally were removed. And next thing you know, it was new friendships. And to guide me, to be a safe circle. So it's good to just have that safe place, to find a safe place, a community that you can be vulnerable, that you, and even like I went through counseling as well. So like counseling helped me a lot. And it's a counselor that is faith-based, that it can help me go through my healing journey, create a safe place for myself to really process and connect the dots. Because it's like one thing about processing it on our own, but when you have just start talking about it and you start talking about it to with a counselor, it's just like next thing you know, you're connecting the dots like, wow, like this is how this pattern started, like going to the roots of it and really unplugging those roots in order to renew your mindset, to know, like renewing who you are, your identity, and not base your identity on what you experience, but really how God created you to be and what he says who you are.
I like that. I want you to tell me specifically women that you work with today. What is that process framework? The process like step 1 to 3, 4, whatever, that you take them
Yes.
from this entanglement of being in an abusive relationship to a place where they are ready to work on themselves and be open and just be ready for what God has to them. Because I have a belief that God won't give you the man if you're not ready. Like he won't give you the man.
Yeah, because you have to go through your healing journey, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't go with extra bags and trying to depend on your happiness on a man, because let me tell you, you're gonna get disappointed if you depend on your happiness on a human being. So yes, it's going through that healing journey. So the way I walk with the ladies through this journey is breaking a lot of like the beliefs, breaking the strongholds, the emotional strongholds, um, just the belief system, the inner vows, even like looking at a heart check and reevaluating like how did um the rejection started, the abandonment, like what's your history, what's your childhood like, and how you were growing up in regards to personal relationship with men, how was that? And then just also going through the word of God and going through those, like, what does it say about shame, guilt, and repentance? And then, because sometimes unconsciously we walk into the survivor mindset and victim mentality, right? And this victim mentality can really hinder us from really receiving the breakthrough. Like, especially what happens to you and learning how to forgive those that hurt you. So I walk with the ladies and learning how to forgive those that hurt them, especially with exes, especially if they're going through a breakup and it's hard for them to break off from this cycle of knowing this man is not from God, this man is abusive, emotional abusive, but there's this soul tie. And also it's like going through the process of journey of breaking those soul ties, of not just physical soul ties, but emotional and spiritual. So it's like, and that's why it's the attraction that tries to keep them going back, because these soul ties um, is there. And I will help them walk with them in the journey of breaking those soul ties, breaking the unforgiveness. I would have them write letters of forgiveness to each of the man they were with, not send the letters to to the exes. No, absolutely not. This is for you, and to be able to process, to vet, and to forgive and to let them go, because unforgiveness is literally, it's a wall, it's a blockage to helping you move forward to receive what God really has for you, the blessings and the kingdom husband. And because it actually hinders you to really move into your destiny, into your calling. So helping into regards to going through the journey of healing from unforgiveness, and at the same time breaking a lot of shame and guilt and renewing the mindset um, at the same time. So it's going through like the Esther purification process. So it's like at the book of Esther, before she was presented to the king, she had to go through a whole year of purification and going through the oils, perfume, and this is like the purification process. And I would take them to like 8 weeks of purification, of unlearning, renewing the mindset, and then to be able to prepare themselves to be in position to meet their kingdom husband and at the same time thrive in their singleness. And we will end then with a Esther retreat in person to be able to, like a coronation service. It's a coronation service to be crowned, to be prepared, to be in position, walk as a bride before you a bride, because we're already a bride in Christ. And at the same time, to be able to transition into being able to be seen by your husband that is God ordained by him. So it's a whole beautiful experience. And at the same time, it's like building community among other single women, because that way I know, and that's something I noticed as well. It's the lack of community in regards to single women and accountability, because it might feel lonely in the journey. And it's when you don't have community and accountability, there's a high risk of you falling into these unhealthy relationships, because then you try to compromise and nobody's holding you accountable on it. So it's a community that is actually helping you to walk in this singleness. And that's why I also have the Facebook group, and the Lioness Tribe is a free Facebook community as well, that single women can sign up and be able to find accountability. And I do calls there and trainings to be able to prepare and to really go through the healing journey as well.
When you said about accountability, I remember a friend of mine, she had this thing called drunk texting. So she would drink and then she would text men she didn't mean to text. And then the next day she'd be like, I drunk text you. I'm like, what do you drunk text? I never understood. She's like, I would never want to text this man, but I was just drunk and I texted him. Like, so you don't remember sending him a message? Like, yeah, I was drunk. It's called drunk texting. I'm like, drunk texting? Why are you trying to text people when you're drunk? Like, I don't know, but I do it. And I'm like, oh, let's recap. Jenifer's beautiful helps women break through from the patterns that have them settle for abuse, that have them settle for less than they should, that have them settle for men that are clearly not ordained from the Lord. And she has this beautiful, beautiful process of taking you from a place where you feel like you can't be by yourself, where you feel like you can't be in a situation, where you feel like you can be with a man who's sleeping around. I don't know, God bless. I just don't know how people do that. But if you're in a situation that you know for the longest time, you know there's something totally off. This is what she does. What I picked from her work is usually you may have issues of abandonment, maybe as a kid, maybe one of your parents wasn't fully present there. Maybe something happened that made you feel less than. And you are now trying to fill that gap with being with other people, by tolerating those situations, by the deep desire to feel seen, to feel valued, to feel accepted. Somehow you feel like there is a need, there's a hole that you try to fill with love or being with people. And so the work she really does is it breaks soul ties, physical ties, emotional ties, spiritual ties with everyone that you've tried to attach yourself to, because they all come with ties, physical, emotional, spiritual. You keep inheriting, in Africa, we say ghosts. You keep inheriting ghosts of everyone you try and date and sleep with. You keep inheriting those ghosts. So you might have your own problems, but they keep adding as you entangle yourself with them. Then what I picked is that you really have, in that moment, you develop emotional wounds. You start having beliefs about yourself that are not right, because these men are usually just very selfish. They come from one place and they are just moving through the numbers. And so when you start feeling like a number, when you start feeling ignored, when you start feeling rejected, and they're like heartless, you know, they'll be with you today and tomorrow they won't want to know anything about you. And so the beliefs that you begin to form out of that, the inner vows you begin to have with yourself, And then what she said she does is she really goes to the Bible and helps you understand your identity through God's intention. So when God created you, what is it that he said about you? How does God see you? Who are you in God's image? And usually people can find a better identity in God or whatever spiritual being you believe in that is more deep, more enriching, more empowering than we can from human beings. Off of that, there's a process to forgive yourself and drop the shame and drop the guilt and forgive yourself, like have empathy on yourself. Because maybe you were really just acting from that early person that didn't get what they wanted. And then off of that, you've now dropped the shame, the guilt, and there is a process then that happens, which is called the Esther purification process, which is 8 weeks of taking off, I think, the masks, the veils, everything that you don't have to be carrying, and wearing new clothing, new veils, new vows, new beliefs. So it's like we need a new person who is not broken, a new person who is not trying to get validation from external. We need a new person. And this is what she calls the Esther purification process. Because if you don't go through that, I'm just explaining how I've understood it. Chances are, even if they brought you the best man in the universe, you would find a way to ruin that. You're not ready for this person. And God will not use a gift that you're not ready for. And so if this man has done his job and he's the provider, protector, the man that God has sent, the man who can love you more than as Jesus loved the world, this man is not going to be sent to your trauma. He's not going to be sent to you because you haven't done the work. You're not ready for this man. God doesn't want this man to be infected, if it makes sense, by whatever that thing. And so 8 weeks where we unlearn, learn, wear a new body, soul, if you would. And at one point, if I understood correctly, you will feel like your own soulmate. You feel like you and God are like this. And you feel like there is no one in the universe that you need to feel loved, appreciated, and because God loves you as much. And so what I understood is that at that point, you get crowned. And you're like, yes, now we recognize you as a community. Officially, you're ready. And then they have this beautiful retreats where they go and crown you. I see she's wearing rings. Maybe that is one of the rings they give you. You get into a community of beautiful women like yourself who hold you accountable so you don't end up drunk texting anybody. And then hopefully that is a serene environment, a place that you get to be with everybody else on the journey. And I think that collectively the prayers in God's divine timing will drop the man on your laps. That's my belief. Esther, what did I miss? Jenifer, what did I miss there?
That's beautiful, beautiful how you really laid it out, because and how the 8 weeks came about, because I actually, like I said, I've been walking in singleness for 8 years, going through my healing journey, purification process for 8 years. And with this program, it's shortened the 8 years to 8 weeks. So so it's walking with the ladies, with the sisters. If you don't, counting the cost when you don't go through this process, it's like if you don't like taking the opportunity of you don't want to last another year going through the same cycle, right? Because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to go through another heartbreak. You don't want to go through another disappointment. You don't want to go through so much confusion about, like, am I called to get married or not? Like, am I called, to be loved? Am I even worthy of marriage? And all these things that the enemy just tries to put so many lies. But with the 8 weeks of transformation, purification, it's like, instead of going through it with 8 years, you're going to go with 8 weeks and it's going to be a new beginning, like a full transformation that you're going to look back in the past 8 weeks and be like, that's the old person I buried. Now it's time
Mm,
to resurrect and now
mm,
to come out of the grave and take out my grave clothes and put on my new garments of royalty and walk as a true queen.
mm. I really love the work you do because I can imagine. I think I have blindly gone through something like that. I remember at one point, I actually listened at 25, 30. I actually listened to people when they said the clock is ticking, when they said you need a man, blah, blah, blah. And I found that opened me up for every type of person who didn't deserve to be in my life. And I was saying yes to coffees, to people that were pointless. I was replying messages to people I had no business replying to. I remember myself replying to a man that was practically married. And I can't remember what he was saying to me. And I was trying to ask him, like, what do you mean? And he was trying to explain to me that he was married but available. And I do not know why I gave that man my 5 minutes of my life and listened to that. Like, that would have been somebody I block in seconds. But I remember at one point,
Yeah.
I was in that head of, okay, maybe he has an explanation. Like, a ring, a wife at home. What explanation is there? None. And I love the work you do because I feel like it just puts you in that place where you don't even spend a minute entertaining someone that is less than the prize, is less than the person that you know you need to be. I love this work. And first of all, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your framework and the work you do, because I feel like it's gonna bless a lot of people. First of all, thank you for saying yes to this invitation. And
Thank you. Thank
secondly,
you so much.
Secondly, I feel like there is a clear person we can share this message with. And so if you're watching this and going, I am the one, we're going to tell you what to do. But if you're going, I know somebody, my friend, a friend of friend, those people who have given up on love? Those people that believe all men are bad, all men are evil. Those people who believe there's no good man left on the planet. Those people who have commoditized themselves. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes I see beautiful women and I want to cry because I know they deserve better. But no one is going to give you better unless you see yourself as somebody who deserves it. And I know that we can all find a woman who is beautiful, but accepting less than they should. We all know a woman that thinks they've been unlucky in love. We all know a woman in a toxic relationship who's been crying for us for the last 1 year, but she won't leave. We all have those girlfriends who just are never happy, but for some reason, they're in a situation. And so my call to you is, could you share this with someone who is in a situation? Because we all deserve the best. And I think that the way that Jenifer's message gets in the world is if you and I decide to share this message with one person that we believe deserves better, that we believe is so beautiful to be entangled in a situation, because that's my belief, that you're too beautiful, too valuable, too precious to be entangled with a man who does not see that. It's my belief.
Right.
And my call is, could you share this message with one beautiful woman that deserves true love? I am an advocate of this because I think I was just lucky. Like, God just said, I will serve you, and just threw me and said, okay, be there. But I feel like this hasn't been everyone's chance. Not everybody has been lucky in love. And love is so beautiful. I just can't stop advocating for it. And if you have tasted good love and you are married to somebody that sees you and appreciates you, and like this person came from God, give another woman a chance to experience that, because I feel like it's such a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Let's spread Jenifer's work. That's my calling. And as usual, please be a part of the community. One, by spreading this message, sharing it with just one person. But two, please subscribe, review, rate, follow, all of those amazing things that build the community. Because if you build a community, if we build a community, then we can play bigger game. We can bring better speakers. We can do amazing, amazing things. You know, I would love one day to do big events where we all meet and hug and dance and chat and
Yes,
talk
that would be
through where we
amazing.
started, like where we started and where
Yes,
we
I would
are.
love to be there.
And so if you're being a part of this community, I would like to invite you to be involved, because this community grows if you decide that it will grow. And all you have to do is be involved. All you have to do is do the things and let God do the rest. Appreciate you, my friend. I will see you again in another episode. But Jenifer, what did you want to close with before we end the episode?
Yes, I want to encourage all the women that will be hearing this message and say, you are worthy, you are loved, you are seen, you're not overlooked. I understand you, and it's time for you to break free from the lies, from the deception, from that relationship you know it's not good for you. It's time to live a life of freedom that God has called you for such a time as this. And can't wait to see you on the other side.
I'm so excited. That sparked something in me that I never had the desire to wear that pretty little dress and that 5-inch shoe and go for those dinners where I have to use, I don't know, 10 types of forks. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not me. I'm not that girl. My life is t-shirts, jeans, well, one free, nice little dress, sandals. That's my life. And my wish was always that I didn't have to do anything extra to earn a man's attention. And when I met my husband, I felt like he never expected me to do that. We dated on Zoom, literally. We had a Zoom call every week till he came to Uganda. And then we just went and ate somewhere. And I was always in my jeans and t-shirts, and that was always enough for him. And I've never felt like I needed makeup. I've never felt like I needed hair. I've never felt like I needed longer nails. I've never felt like I needed anything that I didn't do before I married him. And so I'm sharing this because you're enough.
Yes.
You don't need new hair. You don't need new nails. You don't need a new body. You are just enough. You don't need a pretty red dress. Your sandals are okay. And I can preach this message till the cows come home. But the right person, they're going to find all of that amazing. You know, men used to tell me I'm too ambitious. My husband is my biggest supporter today, and he has 100 times more ambition. And so there is a perfect person for you if you are willing to say no to the people that are not, the people who want you to change, the people who want you to look smaller, the people who want you to start wearing high heels. You know, like there is someone for you, but it takes the courage to go, I'm enough, you know, and if this man never shows up, God, we're good. It takes you doing the work. It takes you being ready. I feel like there's a soulmate for everyone, but you gotta be your soulmate fast before the soulmate comes.
Yes, come on.
Yes. And that's my last call. You know, if this is you listening, give yourself that chance. Step up. If you know a beautiful woman who needs to hear this, share it.
Yes.
I cannot believe what could happen if every woman came to a realization that they do not need to be any less than they are, to be loved, accepted, seen, and honored by another human being.
Yes.
If every woman appreciated solitude of just being alone and celebrating that and not calling it a curse. If every woman appreciated that everything is on God's design and best timeline, I don't know how more beautiful the world would get. And I can preach this message till the cows come home, but I want to stop here. Sincerely appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us through the last hour plus. And I hope this message served you. I will see you very, very soon, because remember, Please remember to be a part of the show. Remember to do all of the things: subscribe, follow, rate, review, and give the chance for this show to grow. But most importantly, remember to share this message with one beautiful woman that you know needs a makeover, that you know needs to just stop living this chaotic life. Appreciate you. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.